They wanted to move their IT spend from CapEx. Every time they needed more, it was more capital, more capital, more capital. You can't charge your clients for capital in this business, so they weren't. This was just coming right out of theirs. So instead, by moving this to OpEx and being able to charge back individually to their clients one by one by one, they were able to recoup all the money they were spending on IT infrastructure without having to sink a bunch of capital in and look for intricate billing ways. Here they were able to take and pass along a bill and say, this is for you, this is yours. They also required some managed services to handle the operations of these servers and so on. And then, as I talked about, meeting some very challenging networking and security needs of their clients were important goals. So this is just a simple diagram or animation, if you will, of, by the way, this is about the limit of my animation capabilities. So in case you're looking for anything spectacular, this is it. This is an example of just showing kinds of how the workloads are moving back and forth in their environment between public and private clouds and then back out to their own infrastructure. So back to those goals. By being able, I talked through these goals as I went through them before, but being able to scale up and down very quickly was very valuable to them. Being able to turn what had been CapEx for all that time, capital expenditures, into OpEx, that they're able to directly turn around and charge their customer. The opportunity to get those managed services to assist so that they no longer had to worry, as I talked about, managing patches and so on. And then lastly, meeting the challenging needs of their clients. So for them, a hybrid cloud solution was required. They didn't want a dedicated environment of their own, such as a private environment, where they would have to basically commit to a very high level of capital, or rather a very high level of service on an ongoing basis. They wanted to commit to the minimum that allowed them to be so flexible with their security model, yet burst in the public environment. So their bursting up and down of infrastructure is in the public environment, where they literally could go from 100 to 1,000 servers in an hour, or from 1,000 to 100 servers in an hour. But they also wanted to keep the highly secure servers in the private environment, so that was very key for them. And this security need was addressed very flexibly. The scalability enabled their business to go after more things at once, whereas they had been a little bit restricted, sort of change of the data center, if you will. Not enough space, not enough power, not enough cooling, not enough servers, not enough, not enough, not enough, not enough. Now they're able to take that away and be able to gust when the wind blows. And lastly, almost lastly, the predictable monthly billing structure also gave them a lot of flexibility as they moved through the OpEx versus CapEx. So some of the values of the cloud, we can just simply summarize here. So cost savings, we talked about in our two infrastructure as a service case studies here, cost savings in both on capital and operationally. There's no repair and maintenance, there's no support that you have to address when you're buying in the cloud. I really like saying take the hardware out of the equation, because that really is how you simplify this down to its simplest sense. The cloud infrastructure as a service just simply removes the hardware from the picture. The business agility, the ability to say, today we need a lot of infrastructure in Toronto and Ottawa, but tomorrow our business is going to carry us to Sydney, Australia, Vancouver, what have you. The opportunity to have that agility within your own business to expand and contract on a moment's notice is very valuable. Talked about the elastic computing quite a bit. The geography non-specific nature of the cloud means that just because that infrastructure is in Sydney, Australia, or just because it is in snowy Etobicoke, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where that is, because you're reaching or addressing it across the internet or across network technology. It doesn't have to be in the building. The ease of deployment and operation. I touched on it before, but there truly is nothing quite like talking to an IT manager who's used to doing it the old way, finds that clicking a button and it's done is just that much easier. So, lastly, by taking the redundancy, resiliency, and performance out of the equation, it allowed our customers to not have to worry about these things, to focus what limited IT resources they had, planning resources, on planning the applications, because they knew if they got it wrong and they needed more disk, click. And if they needed more RAM, there's no running out to the store. I like to say you don't have to run next door to borrow a cup of sugar or a stick of RAM. Now you can just simply click, click, and you've got it done. So the cloud gives a lot of flexibility in that way. So thank you very much. I'll leave you with some final video, which you're not going to be able to hear. I'd like to tell you that this is what it looks like at my office when my team is working on our cloud infrastructure. It's not quite exactly like that, but I did find that clip and I enjoyed it. So thank you very much, everyone.